Picture a funeral. A man stands at the edge of a grave, and his vision blurs, not from rain, but from salt water leaking out of his own eyes. In that exact moment, when humans most need to see clearly, to watch the faces around them, to stay alert, the body chooses to flood the eyes with liquid. Every other animal on Earth seems to have skipped this. Dogs whimper, elephants trumpet, chimpanzees scream until their throats are raw, but not one of them weeps. Humans cry, real salt-streaked emotional tears, and nothing else alive does it quite like we do. For a species that prides itself on being the smartest animal on the planet, that is an oddly inconvenient habit to hold on to, unless it was never a flaw in the first place. Most people assume crying is just emotional overflow. Pressure builds up inside, and tears are the release valve, like steam escaping a kettle. It feels private, almost accidental, a malfunction in an otherwise efficient machine. For a long time, even scientists treated emotional tears this way, a strange leftover, a side effect of strong feeling with no real job to do, something evolution simply forgot to edit out. That explanation is tidy. It is also almost certainly wrong. Emotional tears are chemically different from the tears that simply lubricate the eye. They run on their own dedicated nerve pathway, and they show up in humans earlier and more reliably than almost any other emotional display we have. A glitch doesn't usually come with its own wiring, but here's what actually happened. In 2011, researchers at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel ran an unusual experiment. They collected emotional tears from women who had been crying while watching sad films, then asked men to smell the tears without telling them what they were smelling. The result, published in the journal Science, was striking. The tears lowered the men's testosterone levels and reduced activity in brain regions tied to sexual arousal. The tears weren't just visible, they were chemical messages, absorbed without anyone consciously noticing a thing. That single study reframed decades of work by researchers like Ad Vingerhoutz at Tilburg University, who has spent much of his career mapping exactly when, where, and around whom humans cry. And his data points to one consistent pattern. Humans cry most often, not when they are alone, but when they are near people they trust. Crying, in other words, is not a private malfunction. It is a broadcast. For early humans living in small, interdependent groups, an honest, almost impossible to fake signal of distress or need would have been extremely valuable. A cry says, "I am not a threat. I am struggling. Come closer." In a species that survived by cooperating, sharing food, raising children together, defending each other from predators, that signal may have been just as important as any spoken word. Tears didn't weaken the group. They may have been one of the things that held it together. Now zoom out, across cultures and centuries. Funeral wailing rituals appear on nearly every continent. Professional mourners were hired in ancient Egypt, Rome, and parts of China, paid specifically to cry loudly at funerals, because visible grief was considered socially essential, not embarrassing. Humans have built entire customs around making sure tears are seen, and it hasn't gone away. It has just changed format. Modern workplaces often treat crying as a loss of control, something to apologize for in a meeting. Yet research on emotional disclosure consistently finds the opposite effect on the people watching. Visible vulnerability tends to increase trust and cooperation, not reduce it. The ancient signal still works. We just got embarrassed by it. So why do some humans cry far less than others? Cultural suppression plays a large role. Boys in many societies are actively trained out of crying within a few years of childhood. But the biological hardware doesn't disappear. Studies using simple diary methods find that when men do cry, it tends to happen in private, which may be exactly why the social benefits of tears feel less available to them. There's one more piece to this. The same chemical signal that calms an adult listener was first tested decades earlier on a much smaller audience, one that can't speak at all and depends entirely on being heard. There's one more piece to this. The same chemical signal that calms an adult listener was first tested decades earlier on a much smaller audience, one that can't speak at all and depends entirely on being heard. Long before tears carry meaning between adults, they are the very first communication system humans ever use, and the one every other signal seems to have been built on top of. So return to that man at the graveside, vision blurred at the worst possible moment. He isn't malfunctioning. He's running a system that has been quietly working since the first hour of his life, pulling people closer, signaling trust, holding the group together. Humans didn't just fail to evolve out of crying. We may be here as a species partly because of it. Next time, we'll look at another flaw evolution refused to remove: why humans are the only animals that blush.